Well, good evening, everyone. We're so glad to see you tonight. We are super, super excited. So we welcome everyone, and I'm just going to check to see if we have anyone on for their very first time tonight. We want to recognize anyone that is new. So, anybody have a new friend on tonight? If not, we're going to go ahead and we really want to try to stay within our time limits with our team Zooms just to honor everyone's time. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to introduce our lovely guest, Sarah Smith. And Sarah, she's a well-known executive leader. She does a lot for LifeVantage. I know I've seen her just around the block, being very helpful and teaching and training and doing lots of really good things. She's an executive leader. She lives in Liberty, Utah, like she was just sharing. Lots and lots of snow there. She's a wife, a mom, and a wellness entrepreneur. For 22 years, she's been a licensed massage therapist. Isn't that awesome? And she's been with LifeVantage for 11 years, so quite a long time. And I was really impressed by this, Sarah, that you have helped develop teams in 14 countries. We definitely want to hear more about that. But we decided that we're just going to do kind of like an interview style here with Sarah tonight. So um, we are going to start off. Sarah, would you be so kind as to share just a little bit of your story of how you came to LifeVantage and a little bit of that? We'd love to hear some of your story.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's really great to be here tonight. And thank you so much for inviting me onto your team call. I mean, it's an honor when another executive leader invites you on to share a little bit about your story and maybe what's working in your business. I just love that. So thank you so much, Julie, for inviting me in. And I do recognize some familiar faces on here for sure. So gosh, being with LifeVantage for 11 years, I was well into the career that I absolutely loved, massage therapy. I set up multiple practices. Actually, my first one was in Vermont. I studied out in Colorado, and then my second one was in Southern Maine. And then my third one was after I met my husband. I wasn't really planning to start and restart in all those locations. I actually would not recommend that. But I quickly realized that that's one of the strengths I really bring to my LifeVantage business is being able to start from scratch and launch a new market, because that's simply where we are right now in our businesses. No matter where you are, you're most likely launching a region because, this isn't out there completely yet, which is really exciting. That's why I'm here. So 11 years ago, I had a nurse practitioner put us in front of, that ABC investigative news report that aired back in 2005. And it blew my mind. I mean, it was really, my husband and I we were grappling with a health crisis. We were diagnosed with Lyme disease and looking for something outside of traditional pharmaceuticals to help with the healing. We know we cannot claim to treat, prevent, or cure. So we have to get that right out there. But how I saw Protandem and how the nurse practitioner saw Protandem like in our healing was really around this idea of turning on the body's ability to clean up the damage, right? Turning on the body's ability to sweep up the free radicals. And it was only the Protandem NRF2 at the time and the anti-aging cream, right? So I wasn't looking for skincare. I'm glad I was turned on to it because I still use it today. 11 years later, I love it. I will never stop using it because my skin never gets tired of it. Right. And that along with the collagen, game changer. Right. So back then it was the trust I had in the nurse practitioner, and what I saw in that news report, it blew my mind because, being in the health world and having a lot of clients who were bringing me their supplements saying, Sarah, do I need to take this? And, is it really working? And of course, I wanted to be able to stay in my scope of practice. But I did a lot of research, and what I quickly realized with the Protandem NRF2 product is that There was science underway. I think there was probably 9 third-party peer-reviewed studies at the time, just a handful of the patents. But I knew even with that amount of validation, it was more than what most pharmaceuticals had in-house. It was most, there was not that much research out there on a finished product like Protandim. So frankly, I was blown away, and I love the idea, when this was put in front of me of like, wow, if I could turn on my body's ability to heal, which I fully believed in, right? Because massage therapy with clients, I could see if the right environment with the right mindset and the right nutrition, somebody could really jumpstart their health and heal almost anything. So what I saw in Protandim is like, wow, okay, if this is working at the DNA level, at the core root of where my body's breaking down right now with Lyme, I wonder what's going to happen, and we did not want a shelf full of products to be taking to try to figure it out. Like there was something inside of me. I don't know about you, but like every cell in my body just said, you're taking that. And the interesting piece to this is that nurse practitioner, she would not give me a bottle until I scheduled a time to learn about Protandim and what it was doing in my body, like why it was different. So she said, look, you're going to have to come back next week. I'm going to line somebody up to share with you the information. And you guys, we were not on anybody's list for the business. She wasn't even in the business. It was her daughter that was one of the very first, consultants, in Maine. And and her daughter wasn't there. So the nurse practitioner knew the stuff was good, but she wasn't giving presentations. She was very busy. So she said, well, when you come back next week, I'll have somebody here to share this. And, what was really also very interesting about that first introduction is that, the gentleman who introduced it to us, it was his very first presentation that he was giving. And it wasn't the daughter of the nurse. Okay. So it was his first presentation where he was standing up in front. He had the whiteboard. There was no slide decks. And he was sharing the whole vision, right? The whole picture. And he did not know that my husband and I were literally praying for another way, because honestly, when my hands were not on massage clients, the paycheck stopped. When my husband wasn't at the job site, his paycheck stopped. And that was our reality. I mean, we were bankrupt, really. We were rubbing 2 pennies together. We had a 2-year-old daughter at the time. And we were like, what are we going to do? Like, what if this gets worse? So it was definitely a gift. So remember that when you're out there sharing this, that this is actually a game changer for people's complete trajectory of where they're headed in life and their purpose and mission and passion. So that's what inspires me every day, 11 years later, to continue sharing this, because somebody's praying for this. We just haven't found them yet, and it changed my husband's health dramatically. He was, and I'll share a little bit about his story really quickly, because you might be able to use the story, one, because it's a storytelling business. And so whatever stories you're hearing, you can use those to tell the story to somebody else if there's a relational, kind of connection there. But my husband, he's an athlete. He was in his 40s at the time. He had suffered a tib-fib fracture that put his, they didn't think he was going to keep his leg. He has 2 plates, 14 screws in his lower left leg. So he had a lot of hardware. And it was from a skiing accident. I mean, he was at the peak of his career as a outdoor industry leader in the skiing world. So he was the guy throwing the dynamite out there, rescuing people off the mountain. He was the guy who was better on skis than off of skis. He lived in his ski boots, 16 hours a day, year after year after year, and skied probably 8 to 9 months out of a 12-month year. So if you want to meet anybody who's really has an obsession with skiing, that's my husband. And, so when he had his injury, he didn't, he basically was disabled, right? He couldn't go back to his work, and he started getting back into the trades, which came very natural for him to be able to build. He was a builder, master carpenter. And, but the end of every day, which is after I met him 9 years after his accident. So he was in chronic pain every day for 9 years, had a limp, most days was using a cane. And now Lyme disease, right? He gets married, we marry, it's 1 year in, 2 years in, because our daughter was 2. I was 5 months pregnant on the altar. We married later in life, I was 38, he was 39, or 39. I was 39, he was 38. And we wanted to have a child, right? So so here we were, 2 years into our marriage, 2-year-old at the time. And, he was really wondering about like, how am I going to pull this out every day, showing up to the job site with my leg in this much pain? And he was not one to take painkillers. We tried everything. I mean, we, took him off of, all the good stuff, like your cheese and your, all the things that inflame, sugars, all the things, right? And so what ended up happening is he was taking Protandim because the nurse practitioner was treating him for Lyme and said, I think this is going to help. Right. And so 3 months into taking Protandim, he got home from the job site and he's like, I should be in pain and I'm not. And from that point forward, his leg began to heal. And 10 years later, his calves look exactly the same size. There was a ton of atrophy. His leg was black. I mean, he literally almost lost his leg. And so now you look at both of his legs and you can barely tell. You can actually see the screw heads. There's like zero inflammation. You can see where the screws are. You can see where the plates are. And he's back skiing. He's back in a ski boot with all the hardware. And it doesn't mean every once in a while his leg doesn't bug him, but for the most part, he's pain free and able to wear shoes and boots and do what he loves. And for us, we were like, we need to figure this thing out. Like, we need to figure out how to share this, because for him, if he could change one person's athletic, kind of longevity in something that they love, he knew he'd be changing someone's life. Right. And that's kind of why we do this. And I think for me, it's the same thing. Like, having another option for people to stay healthy as they age, the aging athlete, but it's also the aging parent, like, how are people going to maneuver in their second half of their life? Right. And are they going to go down the pharmaceutical regimen? And most people really want that choice not to. And if they had control, right, this is about kind of taking control of our own health in a new way. And, as I saw the product, like, I loved the product, and I was like, and so I was leading with that all the time because of my husband, because of the health results that I had. I was sleeping through the night. I had sustained energy. I had clarity, God forbid, no brain, less brain fog. I was noticing something very different right out of the gate. And, it was in the beginning, that's kind of how I led. And then I remember going to one of my very first global conventions. It was in San Antonio. We're about ready to go back down to San Antonio, which is kind of cool. And Corey Ray, for those of you who remember Corey Ray, he was up on stage and he was talking about, he's the one that kind of opened my eyes to, okay, we just need a lot more people. Like, if we want to really grow a legacy, we just need a lot more people like yourselves who are here and see the vision to be out there sharing it, because our customers really won't build us a legacy business. So that was the first time where I was like, oh, I just need to find more people like me. We can still love the product. We can still talk about it. So I really started looking at, how can I set myself up for this to be generational, right? Which is how I got into really kind of leading more with launching new areas and working on a project and really sharing the whole vision right out of the gate. So, 11 years later, we have a lot of our teams on the East Coast. I mean, we decided to make the move out to Utah for a number of reasons. But we love the mountains. We do not like the ticks, and in Maine, they're everywhere. And we were just like, we want to be outdoors and, kind of live our life. So, and be in the mountains. And we had a whole vision board. That was the other thing. We created this vision board of where we wanted to live, what it looked like, tastes like, smelled like, you name it. And when I walked into this house that we're in right now, I mean, the vision board was like big windows, backed by national forest lands, living in a log home, the feeling of peace when I walk into the house, kind of all this like space, like energetically. Right. And so it was that. It was that, like, literally, like, during COVID, hitting the executive ranks. And then from there, making this move where we didn't know how it was going to happen. I mean, when that happens, where where you're headed, what it looks like, but you have no idea how it's all going to work. The how, right? We just don't know what the how is. And so just trusting the process, that with a crystal clear vision and where we wanted to head, that's really how we landed in Utah, and really haven't looked back. We've been out here 2 years now. We're growing a team out here, but most of our team is on the East Coast. So, um, so I'm going to toss this back to you, Julie. I don't know if there's anything specific. I kind of did the longer version of our story, but very powerful.
Yes, absolutely. Very powerful and phenomenal stories. I live in Pennsylvania, so I can totally relate to the whole Lyme story thing. So I'd love
Yes.
to hear more about that sometime. And I'm
Hmm.
so grateful to hear the results that you've gotten with our products. So that's
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, you shared so many great things there. We really appreciate it. So you build your business in a variety of ways. I'm sure you want to share a little bit about, what your day looks like and how you've gone about, opening these markets and, have a business in 14 different countries. I mean, how many countries are we opening now? Is it like 16 or 17? Somewhere around.
It's like 24 right now, but a lot of them are kind of like, it's very pioneering. And so opening 14 countries means, like, for me, to be honest, it's like, there are teams that started and we had a little team going and then life hit, or like, the Philippines closed, for example. It was like, you kind of go with the flow. And what I learned over time is that building like an international team starts with who you know right in the US. And because we have all the products here in the US. Like if I were looking to, launch into Australia, for example, I would literally be tapping into the Australian communities right within my area, or, I would start really local so you can build the relationships. We know that this is all a relationship business, right? And it's about building those relationships or working through team. It's like, I didn't know people in all those countries, but my team did. And I have to say that one of the most powerful invites that I think led to opening up 14 countries is truly the invite that said, hey, Bob, I'm working on a project, love to get your eyes on it. I'm expanding. I'm expanding my business, or I'm expanding patents and inventions into Europe. Like, I would love to know who so I was always, because it took the pressure off of that invitation that was like right in front of you, like for that person to feel like, oh, okay, she's launching Europe. She's not going to want little old me, but they don't feel pitched to. And I think in the beginning, it's really important to have, that person who you're inviting, because our goal is, how many people can we get in front of the information? And how many, and how do we want the people who are putting in front of the information to be feeling when they leave the conversation? So what I've learned, over a number of years is really just to have an extremely bold invitation to hear the information, because you just want people to lean in. We can't control whether they say yes or no. But if I have a really bold invitation, like, hey, based on who you are in this community, you're a mover, you're a shaker, you're a connector, I would love to know who you know in Europe. If anybody, I want to share with you this project, this business I'm launching, taking these patents internationally. It's around DNA activation using plants. And they're like, whoa, like, what is she up to? Then you get them in front of the full picture, and you present. So that is how it was really saying that invitation over and over that attracted the team that knew the team that knew the team that was, in Europe, and so it was a very bold invite, I think, that started that attraction to, launching, team in all those countries. And some of are on hold right now. Some of her, it's like, there's a lot of work that went into countries too that just didn't quite take off, but it's like a big part of my business has been trying to maintain the relationships and keep everything rolling in those countries. Right. So anyway, so that's been fun, but my focus really is in the US. And then if people are abroad, if they're in Italy, if they're in places that are getting ready to flip over, from a global customer program to a distributor, I'm making sure that I'm keeping in touch and working through the team and setting up three-way calls. Cause it's a lot of times it's down in my team. So So yeah, so there's that. And then, what my days look like. I mean, there are different phases of the business, right? In the beginning, when I started the business, like, I'm not sure how many brand new people are on here, but it's really about doing it all, right? You're working your full-time job and you're really squeaking in and trying to figure out where I can build my business, not knowing what I'm doing, right? And so for me, when I was first starting the business, my days look pretty different than what they look like right now. Right. So, in the beginning, it was around having, some sort of, accountability call, where, and actually a call with the person who was mentoring me at the time. And it could have been my whole entire upline, but it could be one person who I'm gelling with at this point in the business. Right. So I was always, in the beginning, setting up calls before I would make my calls in the morning. And, the thing in the beginning was like, okay, where's my list? Who am I inviting to? Or who am I inviting and what am I inviting them to? Because those are the simple things that we need to do to build our business. So it's like, who am I reaching out to in the beginning? And then when I'm reaching out, what am I saying? I was always getting coaching like, okay, I'm about to call this girlfriend. I've known her for a long time, but we haven't caught up in a long time. How would I invite this person? What do I like about her? Why am I inviting her? I would really brainstorm, with my mentor at that time to figure out like, okay, and what am I going to say? Because that's simply the hang up that most brand new people have. So my days were very, 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 very full with massage, baby, household stuff, and then an hour here and an hour there, and so the hour was always split up into who am I going to call? Who am I going to follow up with? And what kind of coaching am I going to get from the person who I'm working with, who's my mentor? Like, where are my hiccups? Where's the static, for the day? Because a lot of times people are like, okay, my Aunt Sally, who was in Amway, she totally shot me down. And now I cannot call anybody else. Like, you're helping people resolve their concerns right out of the gate when they're brand new and keeping them going so that they get the yes, right? And locking arms and being right there with them so that they have the success and they'll keep moving forward. That's why I think in the beginning, a lot of people don't have that belief, right? And like, as the leader, we need to have that bulletproof vest, right? For them. We need to be the ones taking the arrows and showing them exactly how it's done and what to say. And that's how those skills are transferred. So that was literally my day, and it was on my mind 24/7. And I couldn't wait to work my LifeVantage business because I knew I was so passionate. I knew we had something huge. I didn't know what I was saying. I didn't know how to say it. I was sweating. I was always pacing to like make the invitation. Like, oh my God, they're going to think I drank the juice. Like, you're always like worried about what people are going to think. And so, I think so for me, that's how it was in the beginning. And then as I was, growing my, my single little circle, on my graphic tree in the back office, when I had some customers, it was around customer retention and, when do I check in with them and when do people typically give up before they get the result? After that 30-day mark, they're like, I haven't felt anything. And now what's so cool is that we actually have the products, that we can feel something within 30 days if we're taking the Protandim and the collagen. Right. So, that is a game changer because it was like, just hang in there. However many decades you are on this planet, plan to take it that many months. And if people forget and they're not pill takers, you're giving that constant like touch so that your customer understands that things are happening, and reminding them, here's what you could feel right now. 2 or 3 weeks in, you could have clarity in the morning. You might be sleeping a little deeper. You might have sustained energy. Those are some of the things that I felt. Stick with it. If they're having trouble taking it, let's put it by, problem solve with those customers. Then as I was developing team, my challenge in the beginning is that my day was even, my husband and I hit the rank of Pro 5, which is MC2, in 18 months. And then we plateaued there for a long time. We were nervous because we did not know what we were doing. It was our first time in network marketing. We felt like if we grew too fast, people would be left out. Like we didn't trust the system. We were trying to figure it out. And I would say trust sooner, trust more, bigger, think bigger sooner, like trust the system sooner, because it really does work. And it was, it was not feeling like you just don't want to mess up. And so we had a runaway leg. And Julie, I think Kimberly Jakes, but she was my first elite distributor in LifeVantage. And so she had a massage clinic that we launched, and I was actually a massage therapist there because I couldn't grow a practice because I was so sick. I literally went to her for a job because I couldn't wear all the hats of kind of running my own business. So, and she had a lot of business influence right in the town that she was in. And so we just did meeting after meeting after meeting. And when you have somebody like that, that's putting people in front of you, that's what you do. That's what you just focus there and you grow and you help them. And we were in living rooms. I mean, there wasn't even like a virtual component yet. It was like, we were live, we were in living room to living room. So it turned into a really busy, like, okay, whose living rooms are we going to be in this week? That's like the cool part about growing a region is that, that's how you kind of build and develop the relationships in depth. So, my day at that point was like the balance of team, and it was the balance of, all of that. So, so my days now, and I'll wrap it up. I'm not sure how long your call goes tonight. So I just want to be mindful of that. But, what my day looks like now is, I work a lot, I on a daily basis, it's like getting my invites in, following up with a couple of customers. I mean, my DMO is really the action, right? It's the, who am I reaching out to today that I haven't reached out to? Who am I following up with? What team am I connecting with? And then it's really about the planning and the admin that like a leader like Julie and myself are, we're planning the calls and we're doing a lot of the admin work. So there's a lot of admin, and then prepping for teaching and training, and then teaching and training the team, right? Like how to present and do those things. So, and then I'm making sure that I fill my cup. So it's whatever, it's like, how am I moving my body today? What practices am I putting into place for mindset? And then really, like being with my family. Like I found out today that my dad is being moved into hospice. So I am flying this week. So it's like, I am so grateful that we have built a business where I can have those choices. That's what we're really teaching here too, is like, get it to a point where, it doesn't matter where I build my business. It doesn't matter where I go, but I know that I can hop on a plane and go down to Florida and make sure my dad is good to close out, his journey on this planet. And that to me means the world. So it's really a dance of getting all the things you need. You need your accountability. I'm sure Julie needs hers. You can get pretty relaxed in where you are, but in order for us to take it to the next level, we need to set the structures up to allow us to grow and to keep moving in the way that we need to really, I mean, it's our responsibility to grow this company, and I take that on full-heartedly. So I really believe that the leadership that's in place right now and coming up through these ranks are really what's going to drive this company, to the next levels, to the 500 million and to the $1 billion mark. So, and that's very, very exciting. So I'm going to turn it back to you, Julie.
Okay, great. I'm so sorry to hear about your dad, but that's awesome that you had the opportunity the freedom to go be with him.
Yeah.
So, well, we do have our Zoom here about 30 minutes. So we
Okay.
thought about that time. So I'm sure we could spend a lot more time talking with you. You're a wealth of information, and we really appreciate you joining us, but we're really trying to honor everyone's time here also. So thank you so much for sharing, and we really appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and hopefully you took something away. A lot of times I'm on this and I'm just really kind of, when we're in front of people, and Julie, you probably have this experience too. The right people are there. And the information that I'm speaking to, because might be different for a whole nother group. So hopefully there was something in there that landed with you and that was helpful.
Absolutely. You said lots of things that were helpful, and I'm sure we all got some great takeaways and golden nuggets. So thank you very much, Sarah. We really appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Welcome.
Thank you,
Okay.
Sarah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Okay.
Julie.
I'm going to just share my screen real quick here. Just to go over, can you guys see that? Can you give me a
Yes.
thumbs up?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, there's just a little bit of information I want to go over quickly here before we close out tonight. And if you can see there, one really exciting thing is that we're ringing the closing bell at the NASDAQ on July 21st, and that's going to be live streamed on Facebook. So, we can get to watch that if we'd like to. So you can see there that information. And then if you have not registered for the LifeVantage Activate 2023, this is a really important event. You want to go ahead and get registered for that because it's coming up quickly. A lot of people are going to be having watch parties. And so, you can invite people to your home. You can have a gathering. So I really encourage you. I think it's only like $24.99, $25 to register for this, which is incredible. It's going to be a 4-hour training, and I'm sure it's going to be absolutely fantastic and just really important to stay up on what's going on with our company and see, the new things that they're going to be sharing. Also want to make sure that you are seeing your Momentum Monday weekly email from LifeVantage. This has all the important information on it for the week. So if you're not for some reason getting that, you want to go ahead and contact LifeVantage to make sure that you are getting that, because like I said, it has a lot of information on there that's important. Also for June, we have double points that you earn for the global incentive trip to Punta Cana. And so we want to take advantage of that. And Renee went over some of those details for that trip last week. And you can also see a lot of this information in that email and also on the US LifeVantage Consultant Facebook group. Another really exciting thing is, hey, June is the birthday for our True Science Collagen. And so it's been a phenomenal product. So many testimonials. It's amazing, and Pro Tandem and the collagen together are just such a great pair and really impacting people's health. And so they're doing something really special, June 19th to the 30th. So June 19th is today. And it's a new consultant that gets a package. One of the consultant packages is going to get a free 10-pack of the collagen, and it's not for their use, but it's for them to be able to share with other people to grow their business. And then if they order it, the Healthy Glow Essential Stack in July, they're going to get another 10 count of collagen. And also anybody that has become a consultant in June with a package that orders that Healthy Glow Essential Stack in July is also going to get a 10-pack of free collagen. So this is really important. We really want to take advantage of this promotion. It's a great promotion. I mean, we're talking $50, $100. And it's a great opening to talk to people. So I encourage you to get all the details on that. And then you've probably seen that, our collagen won the Bronze Stevia Award and also the People's Choice Stevia Award. So that's really outstanding. And if you haven't joined the US LifeVantage Consultant Facebook group, you want to do that because they have a lot of information in there, a lot of the lives and things that they share on the Momentum Monday. So, all right, guys. Well, that is it for tonight. I'm going to stop my share here, and it's just great to see you all tonight. Thank you so much for joining. And we appreciate you. I do want to say one really huge announcement, and that is that next week, one of my favorite presenters in LifeVantage, Dr. Deborah Viglione, is going to be on here. So we definitely, this is going to be different. It's not going to be training. I mean, in a sense, we always learn when somebody is doing a presentation, but this is an opportunity to invite guests. And let me tell you, she is phenomenal, and she's going to be sharing about brain health. And so next week at this time, everybody needs to try to get a guest or 2 or 3 on the Zoom here. It's the end of the month. It's a great time, to be sharing this information. So just remember that, and hope you guys have a blessed rest of the week. We love and appreciate you guys, and thank you for joining us.
Hold
And
on, Julie.
Yeah.
Renee wanting to say something?
Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very
Renee.
quickly, if you are going to be doing a group get together for the July event, register anyway. Even if you're going to be sharing at somebody's house, you got a group coming in, register anyway. And here's why, that even though we're all watching it together, why do I need to register? I'm watching it because there will be replays. And the only way to get the replay is to register. So make sure that even if you're watching on somebody else's sofa, eating chips and dip and watching, that you've registered for the event.
Absolutely. Very good point, Renee. Thank you. And does anybody else have something they wanted to announce that maybe I missed, or any other info anybody wants to share before we close out? Okay, well, looking forward to next week with Dr. Viglione. So make sure that you take advantage of that, and have a great rest of the week.
Thank you, Julie.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
for joining, everybody.
Julie. Bye.
Thanks, Julie.